Hey guys, this is LFX3. cncHD asked me to do a collaboration with him to create an AOD map and an AOD map tutorial actually. So here we go, this is the map he sent me. I just took a first glimpse at it. And the first thing I saw was the web centers. I already talked to him about it, and we are going to remove them because there will just be unnecessary trouble for your first AOD map, so let's just leave them out. If we jump to our game installation really quick, we see this, and the first thing we notice now is that the start positions of the players are missing. So that's the first thing we will add. Just put down the waypoints, name them player 1 to player 4. And for the computer enemy, we will need another spot, and it should be off border, because then you cannot destroy or capture the command center, then because that would mean that the computer player lost his last building and the map would end instantly. So no fun. Okay, so what do you need in an AOD? You need waves, and I will show you really quickly how waves work in this. So what we need now is a waypoint to spawn the waves at. We will just keep things simple and name it spawn. And now what's quite important is, so you want to have the units follow the path. So you need a path. And the path would look something like this. That's our path. Let's use a really simple name. Let's go with path. And let's center it out on the road really quickly, because this doesn't take long at all. So I'm just holding down the shift key to select two waypoints of the path. I have these two waypoints selected now. And I also have this lock angel tool enabled, and now I can just move both waypoints at the same time to the right. And just do that with every segment of the road, and that's how you can really easily put the path in the middle of the road, because that's where we need it. Whoops. And we selected the road. No problem. Yeah, and that's about right. So again, the most important thing about spawning waves is you need to understand how the wave spawning works. And in order to figure that out, the easiest way is to have the spawn point within the border for testing purposes. Later, the only thing you need to do is move the spawn point out to outside of the map border, and everything will be fine. But to learn some basics about how AODs work, how teams work, let's keep it within the border. So, generally speaking, if your team only consists of a single unit, let's select some random object like a dozer, it would spawn like this. It will always be facing to the right. The angel of each unit of the spawn team will always be 0, so no rotation with team spawning is possible with the engine of 0 hour. There's simply no way. And the reason why I'm putting the spawn point down here and not in the middle of the road, let me explain you why we are doing that. Let's just use some very ugly texture. This is how a single line of units would be spawned. But this is how a wave consisting of multiple lines of units would be spawned. Let me demonstrate. Let's add a new team. Go to the team menu, click add new team. You do not have to change the team name because this is actually quite nice. It always starts with 0001. And the next team name will be 0002. You can just use the default team names. That's what I always do. You don't have to use fancy names for your teams because they are not visible in game anyway. And all you need is just a counting number, really. So Let's have like a few dozers. American vehicle dozer. All you need to do to spawn the team is add a script to skirmish GLA. No conditions, so just go straight to actions. Now go to team, create, spawn a reinforcement team, select the team, select the waypoint, we called it spawn, remember. And that's everything you need for a working team spawn. So let's go to the game. This is a picture of the map without the spawn points. So let's reselect the map to get the spawn points. There we go. Add a CPU enemy. We picked GLA earlier as a player folder. Let me show you really quickly. So we added the script to player skirmish GLA and treated the same to the team. So it's owned by skirmish GLA, so we have to put a skirmish GLA computer enemy in the AOD. So this spot is just right. So you can still select where the computer enemy starts, but it's still completely off border in game. So let's go. And I always use a USA General for the first test run because you get the scan ability and you can just scan this. And there are our dozers. So let's see what happens when we add more units to the team. Let's just add a few rangers. Save the map. Go back to the game, restart the game. And let's actually use the drones, I have more time to show you. As you can see, the dozers are spawned further from another compared to the infantry. That's normal in AODs. And that's also the main reason why in this type of AOD you should try to make every line of units equally long. Let me show you why. Let me actually put the units down here so I can explain it better to you. So we have a few dozers. And let's say we have a few helixes. They are really, really far from another. Now the next thing we would do after spawning the team, we would set the team to follow the path. What would happen with this team? It would take the average x-axis, and the average y-axis. So how do I show this to you? Let's do it like this. So on the first start of the map, the units would follow the path nicely now because they would follow the path like this. Of course, rotated because they will turn around automatically to follow the path. Now something interesting would happen because now this helix would be the center of the team and the team would move to this point, then begin turning like this, and they would move upwards like this. And as you can see, this is really, really ugly because the units start lapping over the road and they go straight through the cliffs. They do not care because we will use a script that will ignore all collisions. So the team will go like this, to the middle again, turn around like this, continue, and so on. So that's why you want every line of units to be equally long to prevent this from happening. And as we already have the width of the road, the maximum length of each lane is already defined. At least with the movement script we are going to use. So we cannot have more than like, how many are these? Maybe 8 dozers. Let's go with 7 just to be safe. So let's go to the team and add 7 doses in each line. So also notice that the lanes are inverted. So the lowest line, the southmost line, would be the dosers, and the next line would be the rangers, and so on. But that of course doesn't matter if all lanes use the same vehicle or infantry guy or aircraft. So for your first AOD, you maybe should not mix up different unit types in each wave, because that will make the wave layout a lot more complicated. What you can use, of course, is, for example, a mixture of Humvees and ambulances, because they have the equal size and they also have the same speed, the same movement speed. So no issues there. So let's save the map and really quickly take a look. Yep. Oh, I selected ambulances accidentally. So this is what you always want to do. After every change you do to the map, you should go in game and see if everything works. That's how I create all my maps. Move in little steps. If you add like a ton of scripts without testing the map and you have an error in your map, you will have a hard time to figure out what is wrong. So even I don't really take like 1 hour in the scripting window and doing crazy thing and see if it works in game. I start really small. I take every step of the script, see how it works, test it, and then create the real thing. So general guidance, move in really small steps. So what I always do in a newly created map, I hit the import button and import the script I called radar. You do not have the script, but I do, and I will upload this map, so you can open the script window, select the script, and export it, because this script, everybody who wants to create an AOD map needs this script. So you can export and import scripts to save time. So this script is pretty much in any AOD I ever created. What this does is, you can just click the script and read the text. The radar is forced to be enabled, and the map is permanently revealed for all players. So all player slots, player 0 to player 7. Now save the map, go back again. And we fixed the bug with the ambulances. The dosers are here. The map is now permanently revealed, so we do not no longer have to use the scan ability to check if the map is working. So let's go ahead and turn this into a working AOD map. We already created the path. Let's move the first waypoint of the path to this position just to test. Go to the scripting window and let's create a folder. Let's call this folder waves. Put the script we created earlier into the folder. Let's call the script wave 1. Or rather, let's put a 0 in front, just for naming convention purposes. And this is how I create new scripts. I always copy the script and edit the script. I have these actions linked to mouse and keyboard macros, so I do not have to manually click any buttons. What you would normally do is click copy, click edit. Now you can change the second action of the script. And what we want to do is we want to move the team. And we will use the script that is called this. Have team blah 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 exactly follow waypoint path, as a team is true or false. So let's select the team from earlier, select the path we created, and let's use as a team is true. And see what happens. And our team is moving. So we created a nice square. Ooh, and it's still too wide, as you can see. So again, you see, move in really small steps, but I think this is actually within limits. it should be fine. Let's see what happens at this turn. Yeah, it's a little bit weird, but I think for a test map that's just fine. So as you can notice now, the map is not ending. We did not lose. Why? Because we do not have any losing conditions in the script folder. You have to do everything manually. So the default map would of course be to destroy the computer enemy, then you win. And if he destroys you, he wins. But in AOD, we need a custom condition to force end the game when the enemy player reaches the end area. So let's just use a really ugly texture again. Paint it in some way, just make it really white to be sure, doesn't really matter. To make it more distinguishable, is that a word? Whatever. Let's have the road end here. And let's add a trigger area. Bam, 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 bam. That's our rip zone. We actually don't have to move the pass to here. Let's just put the pass here. And go back to the scripting window. Let's create a new folder and call it win lose. So we'll have the win condition and the lose condition in this folder. For now we will only add the lose condition. So lose. Now let's create a condition for the first time. If so, there would be multiple ways to do this now. One way would be to have like use this script. It's called team area 1 unit enters an area 1 unit from team blah 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 enters area surface allowed counter air ground. This is not the one you should be using, because if you use this one you would have to add every single team individually. Let me demonstrate. So you would have to add this team, and later we will have another team that is called team 2, and you would have to move this down to turn this into an OR. So don't know if you've seen it. So default, if we have multiple actions, they are always connected with an AND, and if you select the lower script and move it down, the AND will turn into an OR. So you would have to list all the waves here, and we do not want to do that because we are lazy. So let's delete that and move to the player scripts instead and use player area. Player has units in area, and the player is called skirmish GLA because we've chosen skirmish GLA earlier. And this is our end zone. Now action if true. Show a military briefing. It's located here. You suck. And show it for like 10,000 milliseconds, which is 10 seconds. And also we have to end the match now. For this we need to use this action. Multiplayer defeat, and this will end the game for our human players who end the game. Save the map. Go back to the game and restart it. And here we go. I wonder why this map is running so slowly. It probably is because of the textures. Normally I get like 600-700 frames per second. Now I only got 100 frames per second, so it takes a little bit of time to see if this works. And there you go, you suck. Okay, back to the map. Now you know how to create an AOD consisting only of a single wave, so let's dive a little bit deeper. Go back to the scripting window. And what we will add now is a script called wave 0. What would we need wave 0 for? Because we do not want wave 1 to start instantly when the map starts. Because if you take a look at this would be literally unstoppable as a first wave. Maybe a tank general player in the last spot could be really quickly with a bunch of dragon tanks and use flame wall to kill these, but yeah, let's not create an impossible difficult AOD just this time. I've done it before. Let's stay simple. Let's chill. So what we want is a timer to start the first wave. So we go to our script called wave 0 and we add a timer as an action. And the timers are located here. Scripting, timer, seconds, countdown, timer set. And we will call this timer wave, and we'll have it expire in 30 seconds. And now we will also display this timer so that you'll see an in-game counter going down. It's also located here, scripting, timer. Display an individual timer to the user. Display timer wave with a string and just use this string containing the word reinforcement timer for now. You can add custom strings later, but it doesn't really matter what text is shown in-game. All that matters is that there is a timer that the player can see. So just use this one that's used in some original Generals or 0-hour mission, I don't even know. And let's test really quickly if this works. And there's our timer. So let's create more waves. Let's go back to the team menu. Click the player. Add a new team. It's automatically called Team 0002, as I said before. And let's use something else. So maybe a few Crusader tanks now? What do you think? I know you can't reply, but anyway. So where's the Crusader tanks? American Tank Crusader. American Tank Crusader. American Tank Crusader. American Tank Crusader. And there we go. So this will be 5x5 tanks. So as you can see, the limit for lanes in your team is 7, but you can have as many units per line as you want. But as I've shown you earlier, if you have really long wave lines, they will move over the edge and then just drive up the cliffs like this. Or like this, if you have a really long row of units. So just keep things nice and small for now. Everything else will just make this map more complicated. Let's go back to the scripts and add our second wave. But first, actually, what we haven't added yet is a condition for our first wave to spawn, because right now it would still spawn instantly. We already created the timer and we already display the timer. We have to use this timer now as a condition for the first wave. So let's say if timer expired, if timer wave expired. This will spawn our first wave. And as always, test it. just keep testing. That's how you will learn how to create a map. And voila. As you see, the dosers, as I already explained earlier, are facing into the opposite direction. When they are spawned, they turn around and they start following the path. This is not very much of a problem for dosers or other small vehicles. Actually, it's not a big deal with any ground units, with very few exceptions. But this is a major problem when creating air waves consisting of large planes, because large planes have a really large turning radius, and it will take them a long time to face into the other direction to follow the path. But let's not worry about that for now, and just create the second wave. Copy the script of the first wave, change it to team 2. Remember to always change all the scripts, so we have to spawn the team 2 and we have to move the second team like this. And if you have been paying attention, you will already foresee a problem that will happen now, because both waves are spawning at the same time. And of course, we do not want that. There would be two ways now to fix this issue. The first way would be to use a separate timer for each wave, but that's really annoying. So we would call this timer wave 01, we would call this 02, and so on. And we would have the first one expire in 60 seconds, the second one expire in 90 seconds, and the third one expire in 120 seconds or so. Now, what do we have to do if you decide later to change the 30 seconds to 60 seconds for the first wave? This would put the time between the first and the second wave closer to each other, which is not exactly what you want to do when you change the timer for the first wave. So if you change the timer for the first wave, you want all consecutive waves to also be spawned later, so you would have to change 20 timers just for the small thing. That's why it's more clever to use only a single timer for all the waves. So let's change it back to wave. And instead, we will disable the second script by right-clicking it and deselecting this option. Now there is a red cross across the script, across the symbol. This means the script is deactivated. What happens now is, of course, only the first wave will be spawned. But the second wave is nowhere to be seen, because we just deactivated the script. So what you need to do is you add another condition for the script of the first wave, which will be to enable the script of the second wave. And as you see now, again, both waves are spawned at the same time. We didn't achieve much, but that only seems like it, because that changes everything. Now we just have to restart this timer in every wave script. So go to wave 1, and before enabling the script wave 2, have the timer start again. So timer seconds, countdown timer set timer wave to expire in 45 seconds. Here's wave 1. The timer restarted, as you can see. And there's wave 2. It's as easy as that. So for the second wave also, you would have to reset the timer again. Oops, that's the wrong one. This one. Wave in whatever you want to use for the third wave. And also script enable the script for the third wave, which does not exist yet, but we can just put the name in manually. And always remember, first start the timer, then enable the script. Or you will have the same behavior as before, and all the waves will spawn instantly. And that's pretty much it. What we still need to add is a winning condition to this map. So add a new script, call it win, and let's come up with something. There are many ways to do the winning condition. One way would be to have the condition team destroyed, team is destroyed. Whatever is your last team, let's say it would be team 20 has been destroyed. Show military briefing, you rock, for 10,000 milliseconds, and show the victory screen. And the map will now end if wave 20 would have been destroyed. Of course, the wave doesn't exist yet because we would have to add 18 more waves now, which I'm not going to do. You can do it yourself if you want. Just download the map and add your own waves. Another thing you might want to add is some sort of briefing at every wave. So show a military briefing. And you should probably write something like wave 1 of 20. Just to give players information about how many more waves there will be, how much time they have to put into playing this map, just to give them an idea. It's just a fair thing to do. You should always tell players how much further it is. Let's test this really quickly. Oops. Wave 1 of 20. And wave 2 of 20. And the timer's already starting for the third wave because I just added it. But of course there is no third wave. So nothing is spawning. Another thing. So as we are using the same timer for all the waves, what we can do now is really interesting. Because we can now just disable the first script and enable the second script. And restart the map again. Now you will notice that of course the first team that will spawn will be wave 2. This is really nice, a really good way to troubleshoot and to create all the waves. So in the first maps I created, I always built them in one piece, and I had to test them by playing the entire thing to see if every single wave works. So the further you progressed in the map, the more unlikely it was that the map would work properly, because I would have never seen the last waves myself until I beaten the map. That's a really bad way of creating an AOD map. So you want to use a system like this, where you can freely enable and disable waves to test them instantly in game. It's really, really, really important to keep testing your map and to find a way to quickly test your map. So as I demonstrated to you with this example, you could also reduce this timer for testing purposes to 1 second to instantly see how spawned waves look like. You absolutely do want to do that when you're creating an AOD map, because otherwise it's a really time-consuming process. And with the tricks I've shown you now, I can create a fully working AOD map in like 2 hours or so. I could totally add 20 waves to this in 2 hours, and I could also balance them out decently. But yeah, that's the biggest piece of work in your AOD map, to create a fun map by providing interesting balancing between the waves, make every general in the game feasible in some way. And you should also try mixing up ground waves and air waves just to keep things interesting. And I can also demonstrate you really quickly how you would add bosses to your map. So let's say you want to use an overlord as a first boss. You just place it outside of your map, put it to skirmish GLA, call it whatever wave is going to be used for the boss. Let's call it wave 3. And in this field, you can insert a custom amount of maximum HP. So if you set this to like 10,000, this overlord will be quite difficult to kill. You need like maybe 40 missile defenders with laser lock to kill it. And if you put like 100,000 health to this unit, you need an incredible amount of missile defenders, and the players will have a hard time killing it because it's so much trouble of microing your missile defenders in a way that they are shooting the boss decently. So surely the more HP, the harder it gets. Of course, there are a few things to keep in mind when adding bosses. For example, you can make bosses unmanned using neutron mines. And the easiest way to work around that is to disable neutron mines, neutron shells, German cell, all that stuff that would instantly make this boss useless. Most of the times the conditions for the new waves are also dependent on the boss, so you would probably only spawn the next wave after the boss is destroyed. This would also allow players to cheat using, for example, Black Lotus or EMP turrets to permanently freeze the boss down, and they would have unlimited time to prepare for the wave that is coming after the Overlord. The by far easiest way to fix that is by just using large planes as bosses, because large planes cannot be destroyed instantly by any means. They cannot be sniped, they cannot be made unmanned. But when I say big planes, I do not mean MiGs or King Raptors or something like that. I mean like cargo planes, for example. So of course when placing down bosses you can also rotate the units, so you should have the cargo plane facing in the correct position already. So let's go with the cargo plane, just for fun. Call it wave 3, set his HP to 10,000, which is quite a lot. And what we also want to do now is I can show you in game what would happen now, or what is likely to happen now. Yeah, the boss would enter the game, fly around here, and maybe you've seen that in AODs before. That happens when the mapper has no idea how to map. Because now you could actually have some stuff here, shoot the plane, and you would trigger waves by destroying the plane early. So let me show you what to do instead. Again, select the unit, make it indestructible, and disable it by removing this arrow. So let's have a team call, a script called Wave3. If timer expired, now we need to remove spawn an instance of team, because this is not a team, this is a unit. And you also have to remove the have team follow pass, because again, this is a unit, not a team. So what we want to do instead is use unit scripts. First thing we do with a unit is make it destructible again. So change the value of flag indestructible to false, and also re-enable the unit, so change the value of the flag enabled to true. And this would be the script for wave 3, so we would have to enable the script for wave 4 when this is triggered. And we would also show wave 3 of 20. Oh my god, it's a boss. Yeah. Oh, that's actually quite long, so let's increase this to 10 seconds. And now what's really important about boss units or units in general is you have to transfer the units manually to a player, because putting them down like I did only works for the civilian player and the neutral player. It does not work for skirmish players, and it only works for human players when you are using a trick, and it's quite complicated. Maybe I'll explain it in a different video, maybe. Let's see. So what you need to do is, use the script player, transfer a specific unit to the control of a player, and transfer unit 3 to the command of player skirmish GLA. Now, once this wave is triggered, the boss will be made will be unmade indestructible. It will be enabled and it will be transferred to the skirmish player. And now we also need to add a script to move the plane. So have unit wave 3 follow the pass. And again, we can just disable the other waves and have this as the only active script in our wave folder. This means after 30 seconds, this boss should start moving. Let's see if it works. There goes our timer, there's our boss. Ooh. Okay, let's make this a little bit slower. That's why I'm using always unlimited frames per second to test things like lightning speed. Might be really nauseous for you. Anyway, so here goes our boss. And now you see the problem with large planes. They need a lot of space to turn. So this would be a pain for the players. But yeah, it would still kind of work. You could do it. It also enters the last area. But it's not the brightest way to have a boss follow a pass. And there's actually no easy way to fix this. I always fix this by having a separate pass for large planes that just does the turns earlier. So something like this. As I said, you need a separate pass, so you should create another pass doing exactly what I'm doing here. And let's just test it again. Here we go. Ooh, oh, that's still a little bit late with the turns, but it's a lot better than last time. Yes, it's a lot better. It's decent. Yeah. I would totally play this. It's okay. So yeah, now you can add waves, you can add bosses to your map. You have a losing condition, you have a winning condition. In a nutshell, you have a fully working AOD map. If there are any questions left, as there probably are, because this is a really, really basic video, I could write a book about this, about AOD maps, about every single aspect of it. I could fill like 700-800 pages, no problem. Just to put things in perspective, compare this to the tournament AOD map. Yeah, it's a lot of crazy, crazy, crazy stuff going on. If you take a really close look, I can disable the labels. How can I show it to you? So do you see these red lines here? Oops, sorry. This red line, this red line, this red line. That's all waypoint passes, and these passes do precisely what I've shown you earlier. So this is the pass for the huge planes that are coming in the wave, because they need to turn so early to get this turn right. And that's why there are so many passes going on, because I have all sorts of different passes and pass angels to have all possible units in the game follow the road really nicely. And I also have this chaotic looking pass for bosses. And I have this huge pass across the entire map that is used for base attacks and hunting down the players. And if the players died, the units would move to the end zone anyway. Yeah. But as I said before, I could talk hours and hours and hours about this. There's no end to it. Even I keep learning new stuff, basically daily when I'm using the world builder. You can do really, really advanced stuff with this program. But I can only recommend you start with something like this. Do not start with a huge project. Keep things simple. Just try to copy what I explained here. Use the same layout maybe. A lot of mistakes that are the main mistakes that is done by AOD mappers. The first map they're creating, it always looks the same compared to other players. The problem is they want to make the AOD as easy as humanly imaginable. So there will be like 10 Alderics for every player, and there will be invincible bunkers and super dozers and power and super weapons you can capture and all that stuff. And maybe even the famous money crates, you know. Where is it even located? Here, these ones. You've seen it before, I know you've seen it before, because players he used to place like 50 of these down next to your base, and you drive over them and you get 75 additionals, $75,000 additionally to start, and that's the problem. You get a lot of cash, you get a lot of units, you have a lot of time, and you have a huge base defense. You have defenses everywhere. You have a lot of units everywhere, and the game will be really laggy. So what you want to do is try to create a balanced map. Makes the map and makes the waves rather small, but keep them coming really early. Do not put a lot of cash for the players. Keep things really small, so players have to put their time and money into killing the waves really early on to give them less time to build a lot of cash producing units and buildings like supply drop zones, black markets, and hackers. Yeah, just try to create a challenging map. Please try not to create something like, as a map I hate the most is Generals and His Armies. If you've played it before, I really dislike the map because I can pretty much easily beat that map alone if I really try on the first try. It's so simple. You have so many resources, so much space, so much time, and it's just not challenging and just not fun because it will just crash eventually because players have too many units and boom, there you go, serious error. GG. Keep things simple. Create a really small maps like this one, small bases. What else is there? Not much really. Just keep things simple. And as I said before, if you have any questions, just feel free to ask in the comments or join the Discord channel of the World Builders. I can also put this link in the description. There are a lot of people who are more than happy to help you build your map. And that's about it. Have fun. See you.